Types of aphasia. Aphasia, an impairment of the function of speech due to localized brain damage that leads to inability of production of speech and comprehension of speech. Different types are usually based on the primary symptoms of someone having difficulties with speech, whether a person is unable to produce speech or a person is unable to comprehend speech. So on the basis of these symptoms, we named a certain type of aphasia. For example, we have Broca aphasia, also known as motor aphasia. It is characterized by a substantially reduced amount of speech, distorted articulation, and slow, often effortful speech. So a person suffering from this type of aphasia will have little speech, and his speech will be distorted. It will be slow. There will be hesitation, and it will be effortful speech. The person with this type of aphasia will speak with a lot of effort. A Grammatik, this is the type of aphasia in which a person does not take care of grammatical categories. For example, entirely of lexical morphemes. He uses mostly lexical morpheme. It means that the person feels problem with the functional morpheme. So he uses nouns, verbs, frequent omission of functional morphemes, articles, preposition. So the person, he or she, is unable to use functional morphemes properly. Inflections, plural, past tense, ed. So with the inflection, as or ed, past tense or present tense or singular, plural are also mixed up, and he has confusion using these grammatical functions as well, which are functional morphemes. For example, a person may produce such as speech: I, eggs, and eat and drink coffee, breakfast. So you can see that there is little comprehension in it, and the infixes are not properly used. Or there is another chunk of or example: my cheek, very annoyance, main is my shoulder, aching all around here. So it is not a very understandable example by the person who is suffering from Broca aphasia. Difficulty in articulating single word. So such a person finds difficult to articulate a single word. So they may use at a time more than one word. Comprehension is typically much better than production. So in Broca's aphasia, the patient can comprehend well, but he has problem with speech. Wernicke's aphasia, sensory aphasia, also called sensory aphasia, difficulty in auditory comprehension. What he listens is difficult to comprehend. So these are the symbol: production of very fluent speech but difficult to make sense. So he produces speech fluently, but there is little comprehension in it. Very general terms are used. He used very simple English. So sometimes he cannot find exact word for what he wants to say. I can't talk all of the things I do, and part of I can go all right, but I can't tell from the other people. So this is the type of speech. It is taken from a person with this type of aphasia. Difficulty in finding the correct words, sometimes referred to as anomia. So this situation is also called anomia, because the patient finds difficulty in finding the exact word, as you can see from this example. Conduction aphasia, it's the third type of aphasia. It's less common, however, compared to the Broca and Wernicke's aphasia. It is less common, associated with damage to the arcuate fasciculus, and is called conduction aphasia. So it is a result of the damage or localized damage in this part of the brain, where these fiber nerves are found. So symptom of this type of aphasia: mispronounces word. The patient is unable to pronounce word correctly, but typically do not have articulation problem. So he pronounces the words incorrectly, but little problem with the articulation. He can speak fluent, but may have disrupted rhythm because of pauses and hesitation. So his speech is fluent, but it is disrupted by the hesitation because he finds problem with the pronunciation of the words. So comprehension of spoken word is normally good. So this type of the patient can comprehend words very well. For example, you can see that Wesse and Foch, these are two meaningless words, but actually the patient wanted to say base and wash. So he or she mispronounced the words. Language disorders described are almost always the result of injury to the left hemisphere. So these aphasias that have been discussed are the result of some damage in the left hemisphere, not in the right hemisphere. So as we know that the language is processed in the left hemisphere, so as a result of any damage, the patient may acquire any of these aphasias.